I want to talk about a interesting aspect when it comes to Jasmy, in my opinion, and what is that? Quite a while back ago, this was actually announced back in March, but I feel like not many people talked about it, so I want to talk about this, right? It was announced that Jasmy had officially adopted the cross-chain token standard to make its Jasmy token natively transferable across Ethereum and Base. Now, Base, by the way, is Coinbase's Layer 2 network. However, this is done via Chainlink CCIP. Now, not to mention as well, in addition, it's also been noted that Junction, right, which is a layer 2 incubated, right, by the Jasmy community, quite essentially, it will adopt CCIP as its, basically infrastructure. So I think this is pretty awesome. Now, let's talk about why I think this is even interesting because I think in order to know the impact of this, I have to consider just how amazing Chainlink is. And let me explain Chainlink real quick in case someone may be wondering, okay, what is that? Now, Chainlink, basically, one of the main things that it's known for is its decentralized Oracle network. Now, why does this even matter? It's because if we take a look at an Oracle, what that is that it's basically a data feed that brings data from off the chain, aka off-chain data, and it brings that data over into the blockchain. Now, why does this, even matter? Again, it's because many decentralized applications out there, without this off-chain data, they basically wouldn't even be able to function properly in some cases. So the way you take a look at it is that when it comes to Chainlink, it's a very massive project, and also on top of that, very famous, has a good use case in my opinion. So I like seeing this when it comes to Jasmy and somewhat in a sense Chainlink. Now again, this was announced back in March, but I'm just saying I don't think many people really kind of mention this, at least that I know of. So then I just wanted to kind of talk about this interesting aspect that is often overlooked when it comes to Jasmy. And also when it comes to Junction, right? I mean, sometimes people don't really talk about that as well when it comes to Jasmy, more so as of late, actually. But the way you take a look at it is that I think this could be something interesting too, because there is an aspect of AI there. And, just when it comes to AI, I just like it overall in terms of what the narrative it could be moving forward. For instance, right, the AI market is predicted to reach nearly $2 trillion by 2030, according to Grandview Research. So I find that very interesting. However, again, only time will tell when it comes to Junction and also something like, Jasmy moving forward. But what I also find very unique when it comes to Jasmy is that many people often give it the nickname of the Bitcoin of Japan. Now, why do people say this? The way you take a look at it is that even though it is not, I don't think in that sense, of course, it's not Bitcoin, right? But then the way I take a look at it is that the reason why it has that nickname is because allegedly Jasmy is the first ever legally compliant cryptocurrency in the country of Japan. So then I find that, again, a pretty unique thing. I mean, if someone gives the nickname of a project, right, the Bitcoin of Japan, I think that is very fascinating to me. Like, in terms of just hearing that, I'm like, oh, wow. I find that just very, again, interesting. Just fun fact, by the way, I've been to Japan many times, but I'm just saying, take a look at my G-Shock right here. This is like the G-Shock, and the nickname for the G-Shock is the G-Shock King. And I actually ordered this from Japan, but I just think it's pretty cool, in case someone is a fan of G-Shock or knows, what the G-Shock King is, feel free to comment down below if you like G-Shock, but I'm just saying, it's not supposed to be about a G-Shock video, but I just felt like mentioning that because I did order this from Japan. But even besides that, when I take a look at Jasmy as well, even though nothing I say is financial advice, 25 cents would not surprise me whatsoever. And now, why do I think so? It's because Jasmy, I think, is focused on a market that is kind of emerging as of late, but not really that popular in terms of what people usually mention. Now, what is that? Jasmy is heavily focused on something called decentralizing data storage. Now, basically, it's focused on the data storage market. The data storage market, by the way, by 2030, is expected to be worth nearly $800 billion, according to Fortune Business Insights. So I don't think it is a bad market. Now, keep in mind, it's not that popular. Not many people really talk about it. But I think that when it comes to this market, I don't think it's a bad thing. And let's think about this as well. Jasmy does not, I think, in my opinion, have that many, I would say, direct competitors. I mean, of course, we take a look at Filecoin, we take a look at Arweave, we take a look at Siacoin, we take a look at something called Storage. Now, Storage is spelled like STORJ, so sometimes people call it Storj, sometimes people call it Storage. Tomato, whatever the case is, it doesn't if we just tally all that up, right? Like again, like for instance, right, Siacoin, Storage A, whatever the case is, we take a look at Arweave, we take a look at Filecoin. That's like pretty much four major competitors for Jasmy. And the thing is, Arweave I don't think seems as popular or at least as talked about when compared to Jasmy. Neither is Storage A or Storage, in my opinion. Also, on top of that, let alone Sidecoin, which, again, I don't think is as talked about as Jasmy. Now, the only directly, I think, comparable one in terms of popularity is, I think, Filecoin. But then I don't think Filecoin sort of has the hype or the cool factor that I think Jasmy has. Because I think Jasmy's focused on a market that doesn't seem that cool or interesting. But then the project has cool and interesting vibes, in my opinion. Keep in mind, Jasmy's team allegedly has many individuals there who used to work at places like Sony. So, I mean, we just got to think about that. Sony is, you know, very massive, right? So, the way you take a look at it is that when it comes to Jasmy, I just like the cool factor when it comes to this. Exchange listings, I think, are pretty decent. Not to mention, it doesn't have the best exchange listings out there. But I'm just saying, I don't think it's that bad. And I think the community is very passionate. And this is something that I do like when it comes to Jasmy because, again, when we see something like Filecoin or Arweave or Storage A or Storage, right? We take a look at Sidecoin. I don't feel like the community is that passionate. But when it comes to Jasmy, it feels very passionate to me. It kind of reminds me of a meme coin, actually. Like a meme coin type of community type of, vibe, I would say. And I actually mean this in a good way because usually they're very passionate. Usually, they're very enthusiastic. And I do see that when it comes to Jasmy, but then it isn't a meme coin. So then it's kind of interesting for me to see that. I think that's very fascinating to me, and I do like that when it comes to Jasmy. And let's say Jasmy were to go to the price of 25 cents. Considering current circulating supply, market cap at that point would be around $12.5 billion. That's around a 14x from here. Now, first of all, I want to address the market cap first because that market cap is actually over $70 billion less, give or take, than Dogecoin's all-time high market cap back in 2021. So I just want to mention that. Not to mention, around a 14x. Now, some people may be thinking, oh, take a look at this microcap that could maybe do this or do that. Some people may not think this is good. But the way you take a look at it is that what is Bitcoin and Ethereum going to do in the next 6 to 10 months? I don't even know if they could do maybe hypothetically over a 5x from where they are as of right now in the next 6 to 10 months. This is the way you take a look at it. If people are saying 300 grand for Bitcoin in a make-believe scenario, that's under a 3x from where it is as of right now. So, in my opinion, I don't think that this seems that bad to me, at least. I mean, let's see, even if Jasmy went to the price of 12.5 cents, around a 7x from here, that's still well beyond like a 3x, right? Not too far beyond, but I think it's well beyond in the grand scheme of things. I mean, it's over double a 3x, so, I don't think it's that bad to me, at least. This is the way to take a look at it. So, there's only one thing I can control, though, in all of this, and that's myself, and I'm going to be holding and just waiting. Literally, that's it, because Jasmy, keep in mind, did that not too long ago, right? When it comes to the price before the pullback, I think kind of really without much of an altcoin season, like it didn't even feel like that was a fully fledged type of altcoin season, and it did that. So if we see a fully fledged type of altcoin season, we see that Bitcoin dominance drop, we see, maybe that altcoin season really begin this cycle, who knows? Jasmy, 25 cents would not surprise me, but even at 12.5 cents, if let's say that were to hypothetically happen in a make believe scenario, I would still even rather believe in that. I'm not telling anyone to do anything, by the way, but I'm just saying I would rather believe in that as opposed to Bitcoin or Ethereum. This is the way to take a look at it. But again, only time will tell. I'm going to stay patient, and that's pretty much it. And feel free to subscribe if you enjoyed this video. I'll greatly appreciate it. It's been Lee the Captain. I'll catch you all in the next one. I'm out. Peace. Bye.